Hola chicos, soy Professor Street aquí. I hope things are going well in the class. I know it's a lot to get started with the mind tap, watching the videos, and making sure you're getting everything done. Remember, consistency is key. Hard work equals success. So the harder that you're working, I will see that, and you will be rewarded for you. I promise. Any student that devotes themselves to the class will do well in this class, right? And I'll be able to tell if you're doing well, if you're putting in your all, etc. So remember to keep working hard, be consistent, etc. So today is los pronombres de sujeto, right? Remember, subject pronouns exist in all languages. We're so used to saying these in English all the time. They're the same sort of concept behind it as we see in Spanish, right? You have your first person, yo, second person, tú, or usted, informal versus formal, he, she, él, ella. These are singular subject pronouns, right? They're equivalents, but plural, nosotros. Nosotros, a group of people, male or identifying as male. Nosotras, females, etc. Vosotros, you all, y'all, only in Spain though. Vosotras in ustedes, right? Y'all for everywhere else. Ellos y ellas, right? So let's look at our conversation between Nuria y Pablo. Hola, Pablo, ¿cómo estás? Well, we don't even need to know that this is the two subject pronoun because estás can only be two, right? Bien, pero ¿dónde está Diego? So we have a subject. We don't need a subject pronoun. It's Diego, right? Él está en Nueva York. He is in New York, right? So we see él with the accent on the top. Él está en Nueva York. Y Ana, ella está en Miami, right? Ella está en Miami. So to review, you'll always see these formatted like this. Singular on the left, plural equivalents on the right? Yo, first person singular. Nosotros, first person plural, right? Nosotros, one person is answering on behalf of the group, right? So, ¿dónde vas? Where are you going? If I'm with someone else, right, I would say, vamos al cine. We are going to the movies. I'm speaking up for the group. In the same way, ¿dónde vas, right? And then you would say, ustedes van al cine, right? Y'all are going to the movies, right? Same thing versus he and they or ella y ellas, right? So remember, first person, second person, third person, singular, first person, second person, third person, plural. But they're related, right? They're related. So let's see a little bit more about subject pronouns in Spanish. So remember, Spanish is a gendered language, meaning that everything has a masculine or a feminine form, right? As a result, there's no just it, right? It must correspond with a feminine or masculine noun or idea or concept, right? And then when we use vosotros, it's only used in certain parts of Spain. Like myself, I grew up learning Spanish in Costa Rica. So there was no use of vosotros, so you'll hardly hear me use vosotros or the vosotros forms. Ustedes and vosotros both mean you plural or y'all, like for us, for we from the South, right? For example, ustedes son inteligentes is the same as saying vosotros sois inteligentes. You all or y'all are intelligent, etc. The same thing. Accents are very important, especially with some words like tú with the accent versus tú without the accent. Tú eres mi amigo. You are my friend. Yo hablo con tu hermana, right? Possessive adjective, your sister, which we'll get to a little bit later, possessive adjectives. So remember, in Spanish, the verbs change significantly more than they do in English. So the pronouns are not required with yo, tú, nosotros, nosotras, and vosotros, and vosotras. So why is that? Why aren't the pronouns required for this? That's right. The more you think about language and the way it works, the more you think about it and relate it to your understanding of English, the better you're going to do understanding these concepts as concepts, right? This is called conceptual learning, right? So the more you really think about it, the better you're going to understand it, right? So let's review. Remember, first person, we have a singular form and a plural form. Yo, nosotros. Second person, we have two forms, informal, tú, formal, usted, right? Vosotros and ustedes both mean you all. Third person singular, él, he, ella, she, ellos, ellas, they, right? Masculine, feminine, etc. Good. So for this video, I want to talk more about tú versus usted. We use tú to address someone you're on a first name basis with, someone in your same peer group, a new friend that you meet, a family member, etc., or a peer, right? Use the more formal usted, often written as UD dot, to address an older person or an acquaintance, someone you don't know, a doctor, a professor, etc. Interesting fact, where I learned Spanish in Costa Rica, the usted form is almost exclusively used. So parents talk to their children in usted, the children talk to their parents in usted, they even address their pets in the form of usted. But that's a little nuanced and sociolinguistic nuance for Costa Rica, right? So here's some examples. Usted está en la clase de español. Formal, but saying the same thing. Tú estás en la clase de español. Or ustedes están en la clase de español. You all are in Spanish class. So remember, this isn't a very difficult concept to get. The big thing is to really begin to conceptualize how the verbs work with first person, second person, third person, the singular forms and the plural forms. I've seen a lot that students have a hard time getting. Nosotros is actually the first person plural of the form yo, right? With the same thing as tú, ustedes being the second person plural of the form tú or usted, right? So just kind of continue to think about these and how you use them in your own language, right? In your English use, right? So let's talk. Today I'm going to combine two videos into one, so you have to watch less videos, but we're going to talk about the verb estar. But we can't talk about the verb estar without talking about the verb ser and I, right? Hay. So the verb that we're going to be talking about today is estar. However, in English, we only have one verb for to be, right? To be. I am, you are, he, she, it is, we are, they are, etc. You plural are. So the verb doesn't change that much in English, so we don't really recognize how different it is. However, in Spanish, as you know, or you're continuing to learn, the verbs do change quite significantly. So these are verbs that you should be practicing very consistently so they become automated, which you don't need to think about them that much. Remember our subject pronouns? We on the singular on the left and the plural on the right. This is called the verb paradigm, right? They're almost always written like this. Yo estoy, tú estás, usted está, ella está, nosotros estamos, vosotros estáis, ustedes están, ellos, ellas están. In the same way, we should also be working to commit to memory, to become automated, the verb ser. Ser, el presente del ser. Yo soy, tú eres, usted, él, ella es, nosotros somos, vosotros sois, ustedes y ellos, ellas son. While we're focusing on the verb estar for this particular video, these verbs will continue to be practiced well beyond this class. You'll practice them in this class, in 110, and on and on. It takes a while to really understand these verbs, right? You'll get the concept, but actually using them takes considerable practice, right? So let's talk about ser for a minute, the one on the right. The uses of ser, or los usos de ser. The main one being origin, right? Yo soy de Baton Rouge, right? Physical characteristics, things that don't change. Soy alto. Personality, soy extrovertido, right? And also one that a little bit different of a syntax, which the way the words appear, possession. El libro es de mi amigo, right? The book belongs to my friend. Some of the uses of estar is ubicación, or location. Estoy en la clase de español. That's where I'm at right now. Temporary conditions, estoy triste, or mi amigo está contento. See a little typo there, sorry about that. Special note, Spanish has one auxiliary verb and it's called I, right? The present tense is I. Haber is the verb in the infinitive. I is an irregular verb used to express there is and there are. So it means singular and plural, right? The context will tell you. For example, in example number 1, hay 20 estudiantes aquí. There are 20 students here. Pero hay una estudiante nueva. There's one new student. So remember, keep working on ser and estar, saying them out loud, practicing and identifying their different uses. This will come in incredible help as you continue to progress in your language learning. So let's focus more on estar. Remember, you should be doing this along with me, saying these verbs aloud, practicing them in context, etc. Remember subject pronouns, yo estoy, tú estás, usted está, él, ella está, nosotros estamos, vosotros estáis, ustedes están, ellos, ellas están. All of these have accents with the exception of the first person, right? Estoy. So the verb estar is used to express where someone or something is located. To ask about a location, begin your question with donde, where, right? ¿Dónde está Guinea Ecuatorial? It's been in so many comedy shows on Saturday Night Live, etc. Many people will take Spanish in college and the only thing they'll remember is ¿Dónde está la biblioteca, right? Where is the library, of course. So ¿dónde is where? So ¿dónde estás would be where are you now? So ¿dónde estás? Can you say out loud? ¿Dónde estás en este momento? Where are you right now? Yo estoy en mi casa, en mi oficina. So estoy en mi oficina, en mi casa. ¿Y tú? ¿Dónde estás? ¿Dónde estás ahora? The verb estar is also used to show how someone feels, right? Here are some key words for physical and emotional conditions. Cansado, cansada, contento, contenta, emocionado, emocionada, enfermo, enferma, enojado, enojada, estresado, estresada, ocupado, ocupada, etc. Can anyone identify why we have two forms here? Why do we see cansado and cansada? Here's an example. Yo no estoy cansado. Yo estoy muy contento. No estoy enfermo y no estoy estresado. Pero estoy muy ocupado, right? So why would I use the O? Let me tell you about my daughter then. Mi hija Sophie está muy contenta. Ella está muy emocionada. No está enferma y no está estresada. Siempre está ocupada, pero no está preocupada y no está triste. So when adjectives, nouns, adjectives end in O, we have to change them to reflect the gender, masculine or feminine of the subject. This is called subject-verb agreement, right? Or adjective-noun agreement. Sorry, not subject-verb agreement. Adjective-noun agreement. Remember, everything must agree in Spanish, right? So if we had nosotros estamos cansados. We, a group of mixed people or males, are tired, right? You, if you're female, tú estás contenta. Or I could ask you a question, ¿estás preocupada? Are you worried? ¿Estás estresada? Are you stressed? Right? So the words that end in O can need to change to reflect the gender and number of the thing that's being modified. Words ending in E and some other consonants as well do not change, right? So yo estoy triste, Sophie está triste, mi hijo Jet está triste. Hopefully they're not all sad. That's a bunch of, I think everybody's happy over here. So remember, adjectives that end in E, such as triste, can refer to male or female, just like the word estudiante. Ustedes son estudiantes, right? There's a great mnemonic to remember how to distinguish between ser and estar. And while there's many nuances and rules, it tends to work pretty good. How you feel and where you are, use the verb estar, right? How you feel and where you are, use the verb estar. So again, practice, right? So if I were to ask you the question, ¿Cómo estás? We did this in an earlier video with bien, right? But we have tons more adjectives now. So, ¿Cómo estás hoy? Give me 3 adjectives. ¿Cómo estás hoy? You can say how you are or how you're not, right? ¿Cómo estás? ¿Estás contento or contenta? ¿Estás emocionado or emocionada? ¿Estás enfermo or enferma? ¿Estás enojado or enojada? ¿Estás ocupado or ocupada? And also try to identify what these adjectives mean, right? Like ocupado, occupied, busy, but preocupado, worried, right? Estresado, that one's easy, right? But remember, consistency works the more we practice with the language, right? So to review, remember, today we talked about subject pronouns. These exist in every language that I know about at least, and they always have singular and plural equivalents. Yo, nosotros. Tú, vosotros, ustedes. Usted, vosotros, ustedes. Él, ella, ellos, ellas. And then the forms of the verbs that we should be practicing today, right? Estar, to be. How you feel, where you are. Estoy, estás, está. Estamos, estáis, están. And ser, right? Ser we'll get to more later, but soy, eres, es. Somos, soy, son, right? And finally, I, which we kind of glossed over quickly, but remember, there is, there are. Por ejemplo, hay una estudiante enferma. Hay una estudiante estresada. Hay dos estudiantes ocupados, right? So remember, consistency, stay on top of the Mind Tap homework, message me if you have any issues. Effort, consistency and effort is what pays the bills, right? So message me if you need anything. Hasta luego. Ciao.